Hey, welcome to Cardboard Minutes. Today we have something kind of a little different. We're going to be doing a unboxing of Too Many Bones. And it's not just a regular unboxing because it's more about the story of why this game is even in my possession. I'll go into more detail about, how I got it and the story behind it. But to sum it up, real quick before we start the actual opening part, I've played a part of this game once before. It was owned by a friend. I thought it was okay, but was not really impressed by it, and then never decided to buy it myself. But then I started talking with Josh Wielgus, who is the graphic designer of Too Many Bones, and this kind of was instigated by a comment thread that was going through a popular Facebook board game group called Board Game Revolution. Which is a fantastic group, by the way, if you're looking for a large community that has board game designers involved as well as many content creators. And there was a thread going around about what games cost more than they were worth, in terms of gameplay or content. And Too Many Bones kind of came up. And I had not had the full experience of playing through an entire campaign or multiple campaigns, but from what I saw in the game, I felt, for the $200 plus Canadian price tag involved, and more if you bought it at a local retail store, I felt you could buy 1.5 or 2 Gloomhavens for that price. Yeah. So I had some question about that. I was able to have a good conversation with Josh about this subject, and I'll bring up some talking points. Josh gave me permission to cite some of the things that he mentioned during our conversation. So, and he is a really great guy, and it was really helpful. It gave me a lot of behind-the-scenes kind of look into chip theory games and their process and some of their inspiration. So I'll kind of talk about that while I let these guys pull stuff out of the box. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of slit the plastic here and start it. This is brand new, came to my door a couple days ago.
I didn't actually realize that it was over $200.
It is, yes. It's $200 on like the cheaper online stores, but
at the cheaper online store.
The cheaper store, if you're lucky, you pay $200.
If you buy it locally, it's like $260.
Wow.
And this, by the way, in case any viewers are wondering, this is their newest edition, which is in a smaller box. Right. They actually compress the size down to minimize the space it takes, both to save on shipping costs and things. It weighs a ton.
Pretty heavy, yeah.
Yeah, the ones I've seen are in that big square, chunky box.
So this should have everything that box has, right? But fit better, less.
This will actually fit in your shelves.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the other one does fit in couch or not, but this one should. So let's begin here, and I'll let you guys start pulling things out. So the reason why I brought it on the front and to be able to talk about this is,
that's cool.
Interior is I'm a graphic designer by trade who also does a lot of print work, and I didn't want my my sad jaded designer eyes to be nitpicking things. I wanted to let people who
have no graphic design background,
who appreciate good looking games and good quality games, but don't necessarily have as a discerning an eye. I don't know if I want to call it. Not to put you guys down at all.
No.
But I
spade a spade.
I don't want to be harping on like every little minor thing. I want to give the overall impression of what your average gamer would see pulling stuff out of here. So why don't you guys start passing these around?
All right.
Go for it.
Got the nice rule book.
Yeah, if you guys just want to start throwing out some comments and things. I am going to talk about
Let's take a look here.
What my initial kind of thoughts were and arguments to Josh. And initially, I had kind of claimed that I felt this was more of a prestige product, right? That the whole reason why they have all this plastic material and even like plastic boxes is
nice, good quality chips.
Yeah, is that if you there's a thing in marketing where if you there's a little knife here if you need a knife. If you charge a lot for a product, it makes it feel more valuable than it is. So it gives an air of opulence and glamour, and paying that big Kickstarter price pay the big Kickstarter price, justifies the game in your mind for it. And I think that, I mean, maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but the fact that we essentially got this for free is I'm not price biased. I didn't have to justify it in my own head the cost of the game.
Right.
And but I will bring up a good example of this is Apple, I think about a year ago, put out a set of wheels for their Mac Pro desktop computer.
Wheels.
I don't know if you guys heard about this. So Apple, look it up online. Maybe we'll put a link or not in the description. But first of all, I mean, it's a Mac computer. It's got wires coming out of it. It's going to be plugged in.
I'm confused.
Why does it need wheels? Okay, but they came out with chrome caster wheels.
Right.
I looked up the price right before we started filming this video. They're going in Canada from the Apple Store for $869.
Oh, jeez.
And all it is 4 chrome caster wheels that screw into the bottom of your Mac Pro. Right? And this is an example of...
You're talking about a laptop.
No, like the desktop.
No, the desktop. Okay.
Which is worse. A laptop is at least not attached by cable all the time.
True.
A desktop, how far are you going to wheel that thing around?
Why would you need that?
That's interesting. Well,
So again, the reasoning behind it is that some companies will offer these expensive products to give people the idea that they're getting premium products, even though they're paying premium prices.
Right.
Right? Because you can argue that you're getting the same computing power out of a PC for far cheaper than you are for the same price in a Mac. Like setting aside whatever software, differences and things like that. You can argue that. I think Apple pushes that on all their products.
Right.
They're always more about the form factor and the design than just the value you're getting.
Yeah.
So,
I think it is a little bit about the prestige for sure, with just kind of having an iPhone.
It's a status.
It's
for
a
sure.
status thing.
Yeah.
So you can just put a markup on that alone, even if the product's not worth that much. Coming back to this game, these Beast Poker chips, by the way, are very nice and heavy and weighted. So the quality on this thing for sure is there. Whether it's worth the price tag, is still to be determined.
These ones are definitely lighter.
They do sell separate premium health chips.
Okay.
That are different than these.
Yeah.
This is the standard ones are a flimsier plastic.
Okay, yeah.
I like the weight of these obviously better,
Yeah.
but I mean, do you really need premium health chips?
It's an extra $23 Canadian.
I mean,
for a set identical to the
they're
size.
still decent. They're not like flimsy, and I'm not gonna break.
No, they're
them,
not.
right?
They're not cheap, but they're not same as the
Yeah.
chips that are they're identical to these.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys want to chime in on the visuals or not.
I really like the dice. The dice. I like the colors that they chose. There's good contrast between the symbols and the text and the actual color of the die itself. So to me, everything looks like clear. If I look at this die, I can see a 5, I can see an axe, and I can see a little 1. I have no idea what they mean. I haven't never played the game. Yeah. But I can see all the symbology on the dice really clearly, which I like.
And I don't know if we just got the most pristine copy available, but all the dice images are all perfectly lined up on a die too.
Right.
Which I can't say for every game that I've seen.
True.
Some of them are a little off.
Yeah.
So anyways, you guys may be wondering why is there, mouse pads and
all right, here we go.
And chips for everything, right?
So now here, so I can already see why. So this is like a supremely deluxe version of a game that you would probably pay maybe half the price for if these chips were cardboard chips, that you would punch out, and they would be just kind of regular tokens. These things would be cardboard player mats, and these are all neoprene player mats that are very nice, and they've got kind of these cutouts that I'm assuming you'll put your dice in. So
and I don't know if you're seeing here, but the cards are PVC plastic cards.
Yeah,
they're not paper.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I prefer. I mean, maybe I'm used to it, but I prefer the paper personally.
Okay.
These are very nice cards. Yeah, so to quote the great John Hammond, They spared no expense.
Yeah.
Right, and I'll tell you some of the reasoning behind it. Josh gave me a little bit of an insight into why they did this, right? Because initially I thought it would have been a better business choice to make these things out of cardboard. Right. So it would be significantly cheaper, but also the print resolution is quite a bit lower on mouse pad than it would be on cardboard. And even Josh admitted that the print quality is not as high, and that would be the one down point is they didn't, and even on the plastic cards.
I really don't. I don't like the color scheme of these plastic cards personally. Kind of looks like turmeric. To me, I don't know. I'm not sure how well you can see it on the screen there.
I'm not a fan either, but that's like more of a design choice versus
that's a preference thing. But I mean, they're good quality. I mean, I'm not afraid of bending them.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
I don't think I need to sleeve those cards, like, you know what I mean? So
yeah, no.
And that was their reasoning, was that they didn't want people to have to sleeve them. Right. They wanted cards not necessarily that were indestructible, but if you have an additional cost of sleeving, that adds more space and adds more money.
Yep.
I mean, the feel is strange, but maybe we're just not used to it.
I think it's just a matter of getting used to, perhaps.
Yeah. As for all the neoprene and poker chips, so Josh was telling me that so his other coworkers at the company who founded the company, so Josh, Adam, and Carlson, before they started Chip Theory Games were board gaming, but they also were regular poker players, and they would get together on a regular basis to play poker. So they spent a lot of time with poker chips and playing on a neoprene table.
Right.
And when they started a game company, they felt that they wanted to carry that same, what they felt, deluxe or premium experience into board game. Yeah. And that's why everything is poker chips. So it wasn't so much about the money or the deluxeification. It was about their desire to carry what they love into the board game world.
Yeah.
And of course, Josh admitted that, since then they have latched onto the deluxe gaming, idea. So, but that wasn't the original intent behind it.
Yeah. So these, I guess, player aids here, is what they look like. These are even kind of those premium PVC material as opposed to cardboard.
That's nice. That's nice.
That's a great touch. You're not afraid of spilling drinks on this thing if you have those accidents that tend to happen from time to time at board game tables. This game would be proof, like accident proof. Pretty much. Aside from any major.
Yeah, and Josh had mentioned that they could have made minis out of many of the monsters.
Right.
And that would have been probably sufficient to have a mini and a card. But they wanted, not only to like poker chips, but they wanted the information for the monsters on the chips itself. And instead of tokens, they like the height. And that was the main reasoning behind the health red chips, is that things would literally be stacked higher visibly the healthier it was, right? So if you're up against a monster who's got a ton of health, you can actually see him towering above everybody, and he gets lower and lower to the ground as you're damaging him.
That's neat, yeah. I like these cards. Just again the design. These ones, I like the color scheme better.
Yeah.
I really like the blues and the purples, but I find that the font on these enemy cards, you can't really see it on the screen, but I find some of these are a little bit tough to read at first glance. I have to kind of put a little bit of effort into reading them.
Yeah, I will admit,
it's not too bad.
I will admit this was definitely earlier in their experience as a company, and I think I don't want to be nitpicking, but I feel like the graphic design was a little bit more immature in terms of their things like color choices and artistic choices.
Right.
But I have since seen that grow and change. Their latest Kickstarter Burn Cycle is far more professional looking in terms of like font and color choices and things. So I think they've grown a lot as a company, from that experience. I will also mention, one of my arguments one of my questions rather to Josh was why, surely this can't be a good choice for a company in terms of just sales, right? Because the classic sales curve is the higher demand, you could choose to raise the cost, but the lower the price, the more people will want to buy it.
Right.
So you would typically want to try to race to the bottom and make things as cheaply as you can, while still maintaining a high enough quality.
Right.
But the more affordable it gets, the more people will buy it, and you have to kind of find that place where the curves intersects. Right, where it's cheap enough that more people buy it, but still nice enough that it's a good quality.
I think it also depends on who your target audience is, obviously, right? Like if you're going for that more mass market audience, then yeah, you're gonna want to use really cheap components and.
But even premium cardboard components would have been significantly cheaper.
Yeah, true.
Or minis actually would have been cheaper. So, Josh was saying like the profit margins on Too Many Bones or any of their games it's not high. They do willingly sacrifice a lot of profit margin and have to sell their game significantly more than they would normally for a game of this size.
Right.
And I'm not going to put the passing judgment on the gameplay and the content. I'm going to wait until I've kind of relearned the game because it's been a while since I played it. We'll do some multiplayer. I'll do some solo, and I'll do a solo video and a review later on.
Sure.
To give those impressions. So hold on for that. Stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and so I'm not passing judgment on that. But you especially when you're buying a ton of games or even playing a lot of games, you have to decide: do you want to spend more money on one game that you love, or do you want to have more options in gaming? And I mean, you could buy 2, 3, or 4 pretty large sized board games for the same cost as this one.
And both strategies are good in their own ways. It's always good to have lots of options to choose from, but sometimes you have too many options.
Yeah, too many bones or too many
or that.
Yes. How many bones is
not enough?
Not enough bones or too many bones? And unfortunately, the Chip Theory Games is, like I said, is sacrificing a lot of their profit margin. They're doing well still because the game sells a lot. It doesn't sell Gloomhaven levels, is what Josh's exact words were. But they are not making the amount of markup that a lot of companies would normally be charging. And he didn't mention what Chip Theory Games makes, but he said that a lot of board game companies would factor in about a 4.5 times markup on production costs and things to account not only for. And that's their personal. That's not the cost that it takes for a store to sell it and keep store doors open, right? This is just their production cost to what they sell the game to a store would be
5% or 5 times.
Well, so he said normally companies would mark it up by about 4.5 times the cost of the actual production, but they have to take a lower hit, or they're afraid that stores would not necessarily carry it. As much just because of the cost.
So like if a game costs $10, you would store mark it up to $50. Is that?
You would MSRP it up to $45.
Right. Okay.
Right, but then a store or not MSRP, but that's what how much you would charge retail to take it off of you. There are other models out there. Some stores or some retail producers go by consignment, right? So a store would pay part of it, and then whatever they don't sell, goes back to you. And like there's a couple different methods for distribution. We're not going to cover that in detail.
We'll go into distribution for you.
And there are definitely some better videos who know more about the behind the scenes production than I do. I'm just like, from what little I know from talking to Josh and their personal business, as well as my previous experience in design, has not been on mass market. It's been more on advertising and stuff like that.
Cool. Yeah. So overall, my impressions of the game are very positive in terms of the production quality. Personally speaking, I'm not one of those people that tends to pay deluxe premium prices for kind of board games. I prefer kind of buying standard editions of games just so I can buy more games with my disposable income that I have. But that being said, if given the opportunity, I would definitely consider this game just because of the niceness of the components. It's always funner to play with things that are kind of heavy and look nice, and
which is true.
Yeah.
I find because of the way the tips are printed, they are a little harder to read.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's... Whoops. I mean, partially it's because it's like a reflective coating that makes it a little harder and a little less precise in terms of the printing quality.
Well, yeah, I have to judge that once I kind of have it on the table and kind of see what the purpose of how important these things are to be able to see. But just kind of looking at it at first glance, it looks good. The colors pop kind of on the dice. Yep. And they look really nice, and so you know, like Nabil said earlier, they're not hard to read. So quality wise, yeah, I've no complaints. And these cards.
What do you guys feel about? I mean, I know this is going to be more subjective than the question. Like, what do you guys, aside from the design, what do you feel about the artwork? Like, I know these are essentially all like gnomes, I think. Gnomes or goblins or something
like that. Yeah.
I'm personally not a big fan.
I'm also
of the characters.
not a huge fan. But I think it's just a personal preference.
Yeah, I think the art itself, so not the art is well done.
Yeah.
I'm just not a huge fan of the scrunchy gnome look.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know some people absolutely adore it.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a personal preference thing. I could take it or leave it. It's not bad by any means, but it's not my favorite type of art either. But it's not bad. So yeah, that's a preference kind of thing for
definitely.
Me.
Yeah, that's it's subjectively well drawn. It's just not necessarily to our preference, which is fine. There's different tastes.
The rule book looks pretty good. You've got everything kind of clearly marked out here. It is a heavier game, so there is a lot of text, as you would expect. But from first glance, it looks pretty functional. It's got kind of a glossary at the back, so yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they've changed anything or updated any of the texts from version to version.
Version 2.1 here, so...
Okay, so I'm assuming they've probably made some corrections and tweaking.
Slight modifications, I imagine.
Yeah. Which is important. It always saddens me when games get reprinted and they have the same errors that they had in previous versions. It's like, you had a chance to do it. So, good job, Chip 30 Games, for making each version better than the previous one
before it. Making the game box more compact always helps. With transportation. I love it when games come with storage solutions for dice. I'm glad these are not in like baggies. Obviously, I wouldn't expect them to be with this kind of quality of game, but it's great that there's a solution. You can kind of just unbox the dice and leave it on the table, and there's your storage solution. You can put it back in the box without too much hassle. So. That's really good.
Even the card
tuck boxes are
having a box instead of an elastic or a bag to throw your cards into.
Yeah, it makes setup and teardown that much easier too, right? Like, and that's always a plus. It's going to hit the table much more if it's easier to set up and tear down, especially when the game is more involved and has a lot more components into it.
And I have to say, I'm glad that they did not go with just a giant tray. Those usually are the first things that get thrown out for me, because
for sure.
The trays are not usually conducive to faster setup.
Yeah. It's just.
Well, they have those the corners that aren't rounded at the bottom of the in the well, and you're trying to dig that last cardboard token out or something. It's
right.
Oh my god, get it.
Yeah, there's far too many. We're gonna say too many times. There's just enough. There's a number of games that are kind of this scale of game that just are an empty kind of box. I know you've got a couple of them that are just and you're trying to struggle to kind of, how do I put everything back in order? So the one that you like a lot, the minis game. The big one, which you just ordered, Valhalla.
Pantheon?
Mythic Battles.
Mythic Battles, Pantheon.
Yeah, that one is a beast to put up.
It's a beast to set up and tear down.
Together and to put it.
There's so many components in that game.
Yeah.
And if it had somewart of a storage solution, I'm sure it would come out a little bit more.
I didn't back the Kickstarter. I got it off somebody who did back the Kickstarter, but there was, I think, if memory serves, there was like a deluxe storage box.
I see. Okay.
That you could have bought for it.
Yeah.
But that was extra.
But it was extra.
That's extra. Yeah.
So there was that, but
we'll do another video another time on storage solutions that are not just dumping things in or trying to fit them into trays that don't make sense.
Right.
We'll do another solution on both storage solutions as well as optimizing for play setup.
I love it. Okay.
I think that's important to cover too. So you're not staring at something on the shelf saying, "Oh, it takes so long to set up. I don't want to play it."
I absolutely have games like that.
Yeah.
Right? The sooner you can get it to the table, the more willing you'll be to take it off the shelf.
Yeah.
I think.
So yeah, it's definitely excellent that Chip Theory Games has put that thought and effort into this version.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I would almost like if I had to choose between neoprene mats and trays to put things in that are removable and usable, I would probably choose the trays.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, neoprene mats are just definitely a luxury item. It's like not a necessity in games, although it certainly makes it nicer to play with. But things like that, will be something that's functional that you can actually help to reduce your setup and tear down time and playability on the table as well. Kind of, it's already out there. So yeah, it's great job.
Okay, well, I think that was just about does it from us. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned, and I'll have a review once I've had a chance to play this a few times myself and as a group. I'll come up with some final thoughts. So subscribe if you want to take a look at that. And thanks again for watching.
See you next time.
All right. Bye, guys.